we're back. Howdy, Thomas.
Howdy, Nathan.
We are doing the inaugural, or pilot, if you will, podcast for Moviecase. I should mention to you that I had a hard time getting a name for this podcast. You might find it funny, but originally I was thinking of, hey, listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's talk about movies, so you think, okay, listen to this. Well, that made sense.
Yeah, and watching it wouldn't make much sense.
No, that would make...
Because it's a podcast.
Right. Well, yeah, it's one thing to do it in front of an audience. It's another to have two people sitting in a room with a static shot. That makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, you need multiple cameras to make it interesting. But then, what are you covering? Because you don't have an audience to cover, so you'd have to have one angle, or a two-shot. You'd have to have another camera for a wide angle. You need another camera for the close-ups and stuff. So who the hell knows? But anyway, so originally it was listen to this, and then I thought, hey, watch this could work as a way of saying, okay, watch this.
Yeah.
But it dawned on me the other day, you need something simple to get people's attention. It's easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had the screen name Moviecase for a while. Yeah. And I've been sitting on it. Stupid may have forgot about it, so I was like, okay, well, that'll work. Yeah.
You haven't squished it yet.
Yeah, I don't plan to because it's so unique. However, my email was hacked. That's another story. Can't tell you how many stupid emails I get too from that person hacking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the basic idea behind this podcast is that we will be talking about movies.
Mm-hmm.
There will be other people on this podcast doing various episodes. My dad, if I can hornswoggle him into it, and a friend of mine, Drew Perlman, and I guess maybe we can try to get your brother in on one of these.
Yeah.
Maybe Sarah, if she's...
she'll be around for the summer a few times. Yeah.
I guess maybe we can do some of these with her and talk about movies that we've all seen.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah. So I guess with that, I have a little bit of a surprise for you that I made a point not telling you about it beforehand so that we could do this on the podcast and have your reaction recorded. So there it is. Hey, I understand you graduated from your first grad school.
Yes. Recently. Yep. Ave Maria University.
And you're going where after that?
University of Texas at Austin.
Okay. And you'll be moving in with your fiancée at that point.
Yep. For about a year from now.
Yeah. And a year from now you'll be getting married.
Yep.
And then you'll be stuck in Austin until you finish your doctorate.
Yep.
And then you have to find a place that would take the third stooge for teaching.
Yeah, right. That's one way to put it.
Yeah. Well, movie theme, so I gotta keep it going. Yeah. But anyway, I got you a little graduation present.
Well, thank you very much, Nathan. That's a really nice surprise. Wow. A great collection of movies. Jersey Girl, When Harry Met Sally, and 5-Chord Stud.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and there's one more coming in, either very late this month or in mid next month, and it's called Back to School.
Oh, thank you.
On Blu-ray.
It's very kind of you. Thank you, Nathan. Wish you could see my video. I'm smiling a lot right now. I'm very happy. I know I haven't seen at least 2 of these movies. I haven't seen the other one in a long time, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Jersey Girl and When Harry Met Sally and Back to School are Blu-ray, and 5-Card Stud is standard DVD.
You have a DVD up converter, though. It, brings basically to 480p, so practically HD. Well, thank you. Are we going to talk about these movies too?
Yes, we are.
Eventually?
Yep. And we can get into that in a second here. But I wanted to say to you that what I had in mind for giving you those was I figured Back to School and 5-Card Stud are the kind of guide movies. And I had Sarah and you in mind for Jersey Girl and When Harry Met Sally.
Thank you, yeah.
We just have to make sure that Sarah doesn't take any acting tips from Meg Ryan.
Especially the restaurant scene?
That's exactly what I meant by that. Yeah. Oh, funny story about that. This is why this is called Moviecase. I know these stories. Billy Crystal told the story on a British talk show, and absolutely hysterical. He was doing the dining scene, and that was Carl Reiner's wife, and Rob Reiner's mother. Rob Reiner, Robert, what's his name there? Reiner, I think. Here it's Ollie. Because Carl is his father.
Yeah, Reiner, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was directing them in the scene. They did a take, and it wasn't what he was looking for. They did another take, wasn't really what he was looking for. So he said, "Okay, scooch over, Billy. I'm gonna tell you what I'm looking for." And so he goes and he fakes an orgasm. Spoilers to anybody that has not seen the movie yet. He fakes an orgasm the way that he wants Meg Ryan to do it. Very theatrical, moaning, groaning, slamming the table, yelling, yes, yes, yes. All this other stuff. So he gets to the end of it, and then walks away while the crew's applauding and shit. And he goes over to Billy Crystal, and he goes, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have done that." And Billy Crystal goes, "No, Meg's fine, it's no big deal. The crew liked it." And he goes, "No, I should have done that." Billy Crystal goes, "Okay, why shouldn't you have done it?" He goes, "I just had an orgasm in front of my mother."
I didn't think about that at the time.
Yeah.
And it's something that can be replayed over and over again.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that was not taped, but...
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I wish it was. That would be a great bonus feature. But that was back when they had some dignity with these things.
Right.
So anyway, just a sidebar on When Harry Met Sally. But 5-Card Stud, let's start with that. In the movie, Dean Martin plays a gambler in a small western town who has affairs with the local hairstylist / hooker.
Wow.
And he teams forces with this guy, Robert Mitchum, who's the mystery man in town, when somebody at his card game got lynched. So it's kind of like 10 Little Indians is basically what it is, where the members of the group get bumped off one by one, and it's a whodunit.
Wow.
but it's a Western, so
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I just saw that this year.
For the first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I found it on Amazon Prime, and so I streamed it and watched it. It was fun. And at the time, there was an out-of-print DVD copy of it that was going for something like $35 or $40. Wow. And it's like, I don't want to pay that to see it. And so I wound up getting the reissue of it. And I won't tell you how much that was because it veered at me. But let's put it this way, it's reasonably priced.
Good.
Same thing with When Harry Met Sally and Jersey Girl. So that's that movie. That I don't know a lot of trivia behind it because there weren't any production notes on the streaming version or anything. Yeah. When Harry Met Sally, another classic, is a road trip from hell for Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, who eventually fall in love over the course of many years and decide that they are ultimately meant to be. So that's an instant classic right there.
Yeah.
And Jersey Girl, I really don't know why, but the critics panned it, and it didn't do too well at the box office, I don't believe. And if memory serves, Affleck has been trying to distance himself from it for years.
Really? I wonder why.
I'm really not sure. I mean, I really like the movie. It's the best plot for a Kevin Smith film. Next to Dog or Clerks 2, I think, or Jason Amy. But it's it's a goodie. George Carlin's great in it. I wish Kevin Smith could have written that role for George Carlin that George always wanted him to write, but unfortunately Carlin died what I feel to be too young, in his early 70s, back in the 2000s. So that's a good one.
It's also got Lopez and Jason Biggs too.
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez was at the time dating Affleck, and they were going to get married, and they shot a whole bunch of footage of the her in the bridal gown stuff, but then Smith had to edit the movie to have substantially less footage of J-Lo, because during the production of that they broke up, and I believe Affleck went on to Jennifer Garner at that point, who also, by the way, made a movie with Kevin Smith titled Catch and Release. Kevin Smith wrote his own dialogue for that movie, and he's an actor in it, and he says, he's not funny unless he's cursing. I actually thought that he was great in that. I adore him as Silent Bob. But I thought he just did a great job in Catch and Release. To me, there is no bad Kevin Smith film. And I say that for two reasons. One, he was kind enough to literally give me a helping hand, pulling me up on stage at Carnegie Hall when he was there. And the other reason is that I like movies about relationships. And in some way, all of his movies are about some kind of a relationship. So I cannot complain in the least about them. So,
with a good sense of humor throughout.
Often brash and foul-mouthed, but very good.
There's always some kind of closure in the end, right?
Yeah.
Brings things together.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what you want in it, I believe.
Right.
And plus, he got Rosario Dawson in Clerks 2.
Right.
And she stole the movie as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I saw her naked in Alexander.
Good prelude.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that to me solidified her as a mainstay in Hollywood. But I like her performances, and it's not just the nudity.
Yeah, sure.
She can emote better than most of the people that you would think of off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Emma Watson and Emma Stone and Amanda Seyfried. So that
they're all like in their prime right now, or riding the wave, so to speak.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, so new movies coming out this year. I understand.
Yeah. Seyfried had 2 so far this year. She had Epic in theaters now.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, she had The Big Wedding, which I really liked. And she's got a biopic of Linda Lovelace coming out late this year called Lovelace. Mm. And that is going to kick ass. I don't care what the critics say. You're not going to tell me that there's a bad Amanda Seyfried film. Mm-hmm. I actually wrote a role for her in one of my scripts. I had her in mind for it, and I'd love to find a way to get it to her, because I think it would be perfect for her. Spoilers on this script, but it's based on the old Sherlock Holmes radio shows with Basil Rathbone and Arthur Bruce, titled The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And the second part of the title would be The Mystery of the Headless Monk. And it's basically a monk got killed during the Christian Crusades, and his ghost, because he was beheaded, appears headless and is haunting the towns up to Sherlock Holmes by the invitation to go and see if it really is the supernatural or if it's purely the natural. And when the guy who invited him to do this gets murdered, he then must solve the mystery. And it was a half-hour radio program, and it turned out to be a 74-page script.
Wow.
I added a little bit to it to help the transitions a little bit, because otherwise it's too simple and the audience will figure it out.
Yeah.
I want to, have people cast one way and then another.
Sure. It's part of the fun for a mystery.
Yeah. And, but it has a surprise twist where it's a woman who's the murderer. And I won't say who that woman is in the context of the story, but if you've heard it before, you know it. That was the role I wanted Amanda Seyfried to play. And I'd like to see, honestly, what's his name there, Alan Rickman as Sherlock Holmes, and Brian Cox as Dr. Watson. So that was the cast I had in mind for it.
Yeah.
And this brings it back to the intellectual Sherlock Holmes, not the Robert Downey Jr.
action-packed, blow up everything.
Yeah. Which I mean, I still like those films.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Sherlock Holmes 3 whenever that comes into production, or gets released for that matter.
Right.
But I, for the life of me, I love the intellectual Holmes more. Because it makes you think a little bit with the story, which, as any good mystery should, really.
Right.
So, I just flapped my gums a little bit too much there.
I was actually going to ask you one more question, if that's okay. What did you think of the new Sherlock Holmes series with Cumberbatch, excuse me?
BBC TV show.
Yeah.
But it's updated to modern times.
Yeah.
I think that it's an interesting gimmick, but I've seen it all done before and better.
Yeah.
The production values I don't think are that great on that series.
Yeah.
As compared to, let's say, Ripper Street.
Sure.
That's another passion of mine, is the mystery of Jack the Ripper. So I'll watch all sorts of stuff on that, like Hands of the Ripper, which comes out this July on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That's a must for me to see.
Yeah.
From Hell.
Yeah.
Study in Terror, where Holmes versus the Ripper. And Murder by Decree, where same thing, Holmes versus the Ripper.
Mm.
And Time After Time was another one.
Yeah.
Then there's a few films just titled Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
That
there's even a video game too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
cover all media.
Well, it's a computer game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a computer game, but there's a computer game called Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper, which I still have yet to get, but I played the other video game. That was fun.
Yeah.
Beat my brains in playing it, though.
They make them very stressful these days.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and I have to do L.A. Noire and Sherlock Holmes at some point.
Yeah, I think those would be fun, though.
Yeah, I think we need to do a couple of, for all intents and purposes, call them overnights. But, just...
Yeah.
Really
play them into the morning, early morning, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or until we beat it, whichever comes first. But probably start at like 4 or something afternoon, so we have more energy per time when we need it.
Right.
Because otherwise, like that last...
Spyro. If Spyro's any indication, it's going to be a long and bumpy ride.
Yeah, that's...
And carpal tunnel syndrome, probably.
Oh, yeah. No. I already have carpal tunnel.
Yeah. And
it's from all the writing I do. Now, people don't know this, but I do a lot of writing for my living. I write scripts. I write jokes. Mm-hmm. I catalog movies for people. Mm-hmm. And I convert VHS to DVD for people. Mm-hmm. And do video freelance, but I do all my joke writing and outlining of scripts by hand, and then I go and I turn it into a computer file, and then from that computer file I write the script, or whatever. It's tedious process.
But is it because you prefer to write by hand because it's kind of more natural or artistic? Sort of?
No, it's because it gives me an immediate carbon copy of what I'm thinking of. Plus, there's no harm in crossing something out if it doesn't make sense to you, or you don't think you're the right person to write it.
Yeah, you kind of lose the progression on the computer unless you go to like a log and try to work out the whole process, because the delete just kind of obliterates everything. You don't really see, the development of your thought as you write. So it's kind of cool to see that.
Yeah.
Especially as the writer yourself, right?
Right. I'll tell you, I wrote a script called God's Waiting Room, and I'm not going to talk about the content of that because I've had people steal my ideas. Yeah. But if anybody's interested in making that into a movie, contact me.
It's excellent.
It's a good family film, and I've had the feeling that they don't really make good family films these days. That about, again, relationships of family, or relationships of entertainers, or a combo, which is what God's Waiting Room is, without giving anything away. That was one of the things, though. A friend of mine and my dad's is a producer, and he's kind enough to give me feedback on the script. And the thing that he said to me was, "It's really good. I have a hard time picturing anybody but the stars doing it, and I think that also works against you with the script, because the script doesn't know what it wants to be." Well, to me, is it a cancer movie, or is it a movie about entertainers doing well on a show? And to me, it's neither of those things. It's the relationship formed by common interest and love of the old entertainers and the family that has a dying kid. And the ideal cast for this, if anybody wants to try to put this together and help me with it, Jerry Lewis. I'm probably suicidal on that one. But Jerry Lewis, Bill Engvall, Megan Follows, Jennifer Lawrence, Mickey Rooney, and Dick Van Dyke, Don Rickles, and Julie Andrews. And me. I wrote a crusty part for me because I'm cynical. As you know, why am I doing today?
I think you do a great job in it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And let's see here. What was it? Oh, speaking of movies, yes.
Oh, so nice. Did you need me to grab something for you?
No.
Okay.
It's over here.
Okay.
In case anybody's curious, we're in my room, which is somewhat cluttered with stuff, but it's most of it's off the floor. And
piled high elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But on Tom's side of the room, there's a bunch of Blu-rays and video games and DVDs and stuff. And on my side of the room, I'm sitting on a bed, and I'm surrounded by books and movies and whatnot, and the TV. So, let's see. I meant to show these to you. I got them the other day. The Three Stooges Rare Treasures from the Columbia Pictures Vaults. It's kind of expensive because it's manufactured on demand, but it's good collection. It's Have Rocket Will Travel, and I think it's Rockin' in the Rockies.
And it says shorts and never before released material, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good collection if you like the Stooges.
Oh, it has Columbia cartoons too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, it's their what was it? 9th volume in the series of DVDs of the Stooges. Yeah. And then they'll start releasing them on Blu-ray. I don't have to get them there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, I've also got the Three Stooges in 3D on Blu-ray. That's how much of a Stooge nut I am. God, I could go on forever.
I have to say, some of these, what do you call them, titles are very interesting.
Yeah. Aren't they, though?
Should I mention a few?
Yeah, sure.
From the Columbia Comedy Shorts featuring Shemp Howard, there's Boobs in the Woods, 1940. And then also there is Jigger is My Wife.
Yeah, well, Boobs in the Woods refers to morons.
Yeah, I was going to say, terminology's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Past 60, 70 years, huh?
Yeah. Especially with George Carlin, with his 7 words you can't say on TV.
Yeah. But you can say in podcasts.
Right. At least until the government cracks down on us, whichever comes first. Let's see, I also got this.
Oh.
30 episodes of You Bet Your Life.
Yeah, Groucho Marx.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's something else about this. I know that the podcast is titled Moviecase, but I want to stress that we will also be dealing with TV shows as part of this stuff, because it is somebody's work, their career at some point. So yeah, there's films of the Marx Brothers. There's the TV work that Groucho did, and even some of it with his brothers.
Yeah, and Groucho's known for his ad-libbing.
Yeah.
From what I understand from you.
Yeah, he's known for his ad-libbing, quick, and sometimes insulting wit.
Simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the master.
Yeah.
But then again, so is Don Rickles.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take it away from him. Speaking of insulting.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Making noise.
Yeah, the new documentary about him and his career and whatnot.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of career retrospectives lately. He did one with Dick Cavett titled Mel Brooks and Dick Cavett Together Again. And he did one Mel Brooks Strikes Back this past year, and now he's got this one, which is an American Masters documentary about his career.
Also featuring never before heard stories and new interviews with multiple people, including Matthew Broderick and Cloris Leachman.
Carl Reiner.
Yeah. Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, no, they're tops. I still have to get Method to the Madness of Jerry Lewis. As much as I hate the guy and I hate to support him, after what happened, I still like his movie work, even if it's getting paid by the credits. Max Rose. Cough splitter.
Get a cold?
Yeah, it just developed from talking about Lewis.
Wow.
So then there's this.
Wow.
The deluxe edition of Les Mis.
Yeah.
Les Miserables. The musical where there's absolutely no talking and it's all singing. Occasional line of dialogue is shouted out, but for the most part it is singing.
And I have yet to see this, I'm sorry to say.
Well, we can always watch it sometime with Sarah when she comes up.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know if she's seen it or not. I'm guessing she probably has, but what do I know?
And you thought, you thought Anne Hathaway was the best in this?
Yes.
And Hugh Jackman perhaps too?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that Jackman got robbed of the Oscar. Hathaway richly deserved hers. And I would love to see Amanda Seyfried win an Oscar at some point.
Yeah.
But she's got to get away from those rom-coms and start doing better dramas.
Yeah. Well, her career began, what was it? Was it really with Mamma Mia?
No, her career.
Before that?
Yeah, her career started with a movie called 9 Lives.
9 Lives, huh?
And it's a drama shot all with one continuous moving camera. And it's little story segments about women in various relationships that they have. It's quite interesting. And then her first big one where she got noticed was Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, okay.
You'll remember her as kind of the ditzy friend.
That's right.
Of the Plastics. And then she took off with Mamma Mia. and Red Riding Hood and
Yeah.
Chloe.
Yeah.
Then Les Mis, and now Big Wedding, or The Big Wedding, and Epic, as we were talking about before. And
Which I know will be dragged to by Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hey, I'll go with you and see it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that. Anytime I say Man Save Fred on the bill, I'm in.
Even if it's an animated movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. See, Amanda, you do have some star power. You get me to go see movies I don't normally see. Excuse me, Miss Seyfried. I got this as well. Cheaper by the dozen, too.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah. It was $4.99, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I watch the sales on these things.
Yeah.
So I got that. And you'll recognize this one, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
30th anniversary.
Yeah, excellent. I love the cover picture. Chevy Chase with the moose antlers sticking out of his hat. Classic movie.
Yeah. Written by John Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
And
great director.
Yeah.
And writer.
Yeah, he wrote more than he directed, but he did a great job in both. Rolling Stones, Crossfire Hurricane.
One he was talking with me about.
Yeah. For the well, Thomas looked at the back of this. He and I just had a steak dinner and we're talking about various things, and so we're now doing podcasts as a continuation of this stuff, and kind of talking about some things. So some of these titles that you're hearing us talking about may come up on these podcasts, like the films of Kevin Smith, the films, the Stones, and I believe I have to do one on the gangsters, at least one, and at least one on the Jennifer Lawrence career, and Nicholas Sparks, his stuff, and the Thin Man series is going to get at least one podcast this summer, if not 2 or 3, because there's a lot to those, which I'll be getting to those in a second. Then there's this, Michael Clayton. That was $4.99.
Wow. Steal.
Yeah. Now you want to see an overpriced one? Miracle at the Bells.
$30?
Close.
Yeah?
25.
Wow.
It's put out by this company, Olive Films. They have a great catalog of movies, but they charge too much money considering that there's no special features, not even a trailer on the majority of their releases. But oddly enough, the movie 1900, which sucked, by the way, it got some special features, as did High Noon, the 60th anniversary edition. Again, classic films, but why are you paying top price for classic films? They should be $15 or less.
Right.
Especially since they don't have the...
And, the public should be watching more classic films these days, and by overpricing them, they're kind of like limiting their audience, I would think. A little bit, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, what's good about them is that they're HD versions of the movie, so they're top shape. And then there is this, the Ultimate Gangster Collection Classics.
Wow.
And
I see White Heat right on the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, White Heat, The Petrified Forest, Little Caesar, and...
The Public Enemy.
Public Enemy, yeah. And a documentary called The Public Enemies, The Golden Age of Gangsters.
That's awesome.
Now, why they didn't have Angels with Dirty Faces and the Roaring Twenties in there, I don't know, because those round out that great collection on the DVDs.
And they were made around the same time, weren't they? The 30s, 40s?
Yeah. And I really wish Warner Brothers, hint, hint, would release Angels with Dirty Faces and the Roaring Twenties on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Ditto with Smart Money, the Edward G. Robinson, James Cagney movie, which was made 2 years after The Public Enemy and Little Caesar. Now, I should mention, funny thing about that, we apparently know through the fact that they made it in 1931, and that they were released in 31 if they weren't made in 1930 and then released the next year. Now, here's what's insulting, is that the guy who reviewed that Blu-ray collection and the individual films on their individual releases said that they are that Little Caesar was made the year before Public Enemy, which it wasn't. It was the same year, so hello. Check your history before you write. So there's that. The films on Lincoln, I think we should do one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm getting the Killing Lincoln on Blu-ray in June, which is next month. So maybe we can watch that together and then do a podcast about the Lincoln.
Sure.
That way I can talk about Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter and how historically inaccurate it was. But, ladies and gentlemen, I have to explain that statement because it's so stupid and it's so true, and I'll bring it up again when we do the actual podcast. But this idiot online wrote up, I won't say who it is, I don't know them thankfully, but I won't say who it is, some idiot wrote online, this movie is historically inaccurate. It's a vampire film! Of course it's historically inaccurate.
It's not even historical.
Well, no, I mean, Vlad the Impaler, who's supposed to be the original Dracula, the real-life Dracula, he lived. So vampires, according to that, do exist.
Okay.
But what's historically inaccurate is the fact that it's the fanciful vampire and not, Vlad the Impaler, because you'd have to do a little bit of a time warp to get Vlad the Impaler from the 1600s over to the 1800s to fight in the Civil War.
Right.
Again, here's your sign, fella. So, anyway, you'll hear that story again on the podcast we do about Lincoln. Because that one bears repeating for how stupid it is. Now, I loaned you the Nicholas Sparks
movies.
Yep. Yeah, I have been slowly working my way through the books. I'm currently working on the last song.
Yeah.
Because here's the kind of neurotic nut that I am, okay? I want to see what they change from page to screen. So I'm going through reading all these books that nobody else would condescend to read just so I can see what the changes were and how things were sanitized or whatever. Like I just found out today, Little Caesar and The Public Enemy are based on books. One is Little Caesar by W.R. Burnett, and that it was the basis for Little Caesar, obviously. Beer and Blood it was the basis for Public Enemy, which I cannot for the life of me expound on. That by trying to say the names of the people. It's John Bright and Kubik, something or other, I can't pronounce the last name.
Guzman, maybe?
Well, it's Gleasmon.
Glassman?
Yeah. That's about as close as we'll get to.
Yeah. Or Glossman.
Yeah. Who knows, but anyway, there's that. And I told you about an offer that I got to speak about movies at a college.
As a guest lecturer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I am avidly reading the sequels to The Thin Man. Yes, people, there are sequels to The Thin Man that were released last year in book form for the first time. After The Thin Man, and another Thin Man, and a sequel to The Thin Man treatment. And they're basically screenplays in book form. And it's retailing for about $20 hardcover. And they're by Dashiell Hammett, so it's not somebody else using his characters, it's actually him. But there's production notes for the movies in here.
Yeah.
So they talk about like the making of the first one, they talk about the production code, how they had to agree to do certain things and cut other things. And they do that for the four Thin Mans that he wrote.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine, Drew Perlman, the other day, and he didn't know about this, that the Thin Man had sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew that the movies had sequels, but he didn't know that Hammett had written the original stories.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. And that's why I'm trying to get him to allow me to teach The Thin Man. Because I know so much about it from reading these things. I should mention for the listeners that I have Leonard Maltin's classic movie guide, and both editions. And I've got Leonard Maltin's Movie Crazy. I've got Leonard Maltin's Movie Guide, the current ones. And that's how I find this stuff out, through those books. I learned trivia about the movies. From reading about people's biographies on the internet, I learned more. And still more from Turner Classic Movies. Thanks to Robert Osborne, and Drew Barrymore, Alec Baldwin, and all the other guest people, Sidney Pollack.
So speak about the movies before the shows.
Yeah, and to me, that's the way that all movies should be done.
You should have some prelude.
Yeah.
What you're going to see.
Yeah. Give little production notes that are quick and fun to remember, so that people kind of get...
And people appreciate who made the movies, because... if movie theaters are any example, most people leave before the credits end.
Right.
They don't really care who made it. And, it's a form of art. You should appreciate the artist.
Right. Stick through the end credits. On Blu-rays, we technically, as you know, when we watch films, we technically don't really watch the credits on regular speed. We fast forward through them to get to the end of the disc.
You've seen enough of them, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, well, for the most part, I see movies in theaters, so I'll sit through them in the theater. But on video, it's like, okay, I've given everybody a chance at getting credited. So. Yeah. But there's still people that work on these films that are uncredited, like a friend of mine from Burlington College. Hello.
Another podcast. Actually, they've already happened, but...
Yeah, Moving Violations. Go listen to that when you're done with this. this woman, Georgia, worked on Shutter Island, and she said you cannot look at Martin Scorsese in the eye because you'll get fired because he's paranoid and he thinks that somebody's out to get him if you look him in the eyes. So apparently, to anybody that doesn't know Martin Scorsese but happens to meet him, don't look at him. Look over his shoulder and say hi. Which isn't hard to do given how short he is.
Oh, burn.
It's okay, I'm short too. In fact, I'm shorter than him.
Wow.
By about 2 inches. But I'm taller than Amanda Seyfried by a half an inch. That'll give you some idea of how tall I am, folks. Shorter than Scorsese, taller than Seyfried.
But you've got an attitude to make up for it, right?
Yes, I've got Don Rickles attitude. Oh, by the way, there's a guy on Red Eye. I like watching Red Eye with Greg Gutfeld and Andy Levy and what's his name there? Bill Schultz. Absolutely hysterical. Love the podcast. Love the show. And this guy, Greg Gutfeld is always saying how short he is. Yeah, he's again about 5'5" is what I'm seeing, or 5'6", one of the two, depending on what site you're on. Yeah, but he's always, he's got kind of a Napoleon complex where it gets driven nuts by being called short and stuff.
Yeah.
But he takes jabs at Dana Perino on the 5, who was Bush's press secretary. But she's absolutely hysterical sometimes, giving it to him and vice versa. But she's shorter than him and me. But I don't think I'd ever say anything mean about her. I will admit, though, there was one person that was shorter than me, Billy Greenfield, who I did insult, but only because she insulted me first. She made a joke about my intelligence, so instead of taking it lying down and going, "Oh well, it's a joke," I was standing up next to her, and I said, "You got something to say to me? Stand up." She's shorter than I am. She's like 5'1" in heels.
In heels.
Yeah, she's like 4'11" and change in real life. But oh boy. But they say good things come in small packages, right?
Yep.
Mary Vidham, remember her from Burlington College Presents? The failed show that I hosted. She's shorter than me, but oh God, does she have a beautiful voice, and is she good at poetry? Plus for her, go get her book. It's on Amazon. I forget the name of it, but if you look up Mary Vidham in the book section of Amazon, you'll find it. I think it's Calypto Girl or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. But anyway, it's good. She's good. So anyway, other people are short. James Cagney, he was short. Al Pacino was short. Which is funny because you see him just a few inches under De Niro in the movies, but they're cheating his height.
Right.
But anyway, so it's
Yoda from Star Wars is short.
Yeah, but he's a puppet from CGI.
He means a lot to me, Nathan. I'm sorry.
May the Schwartz be with you!
And we're back to Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Better end it quickly.
Oh, no, I mean, it's fine. So anyway, you kind of get an idea from us talking and somewhat aimlessly on this, that we'll have a few to do about various movies and whatnot. So I guess, do you have any questions for me? Do we want to cover what my origin story is as far as movies, or
origin story?
Yeah. Okay. Well, as I say in my book, which nobody has read yet, I started with movies at a very young age. My dad had taped Batman for me when I was younger, the '89 Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, Tim Burton film.
Great movie.
Yeah. Still scares the crap out of me to this day because of Nicholson's performance as the Joker. But he let me see that at a young age because I did so well with that. I got to see films like The Wizard of Oz and Public Enemy and Little Caesar and stuff like that. You know, the older films because there was less danger of me being scared. And then we tried Titanic and Psycho. And that scared the hell out of me. And Jaws. So that earned me another round of classic films. And I eventually saw The Godfather. And getting into high school years now, The Godfather. And then there's John Cassavetes films and some Hollywood blockbusters like Live Free or Die Hard in college. And it's grown from leaps and bounds. You remember the DiCaprio craze?
Yes.
Yeah. I still have nightmares that that's going to come back. But
after The Great Gatsby, huh?
Yeah. But he, the craze on talking about is everybody went nuts for him after he made Titanic. And then all of a sudden he just blew the hell up, you know, his career ballooned out and stuff. And he's a good actor. I think that's justifiable. But to the extent of people were printing out pictures of him and gluing them onto their binders, that drove me bonkers. Because to the girls of our age group, he was the epitome of handsomeness, and you had to strive to dress like him. You had to strive to treat women the way that he did in Titanic. And that drives me nuts! But, you know, again, he's a good actor. I can't fault him. There's a whole bunch of things I'll get into in these podcasts where I talk about my love or hatred of different people. Like, for example, in the hate category, Borat.
I can agree with you on that one. I fell for him, and what was the first movie he did?
That was Borat.
Yeah, it was Borat. Here's your sign. Yeah, he just went downhill from there, if he wasn't already downhill with that movie.
He just redefined stupid on a regular basis. Of course, some of my friends have a right to talk about that. This is true. Whitey Bulger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gangster. Arrested in L.A. a couple of years back now. Finally captured. Now he's waiting trial in Boston, and it should be starting in June, his trial. Oh, boy. Hey, Howard Carr talks about him on his show because he wrote a couple of books about Bulger and his gang. I was talking to somebody who will remain nameless, protect the guilty. And I said, what are your thoughts on Whitey Bulger being captured? She said, um, well, he's an old man. And he doesn't live that lifestyle anymore. Just let him live out his last few days on Earth, in retirement. I said to her, the man killed 19 people. He wasn't paying taxes. He was dealing with drugs, rigging elections, and you want to
let him get away with it all.
Yeah. And she goes, oh, well, in that case, he deserves life in prison.
That was an easy conversion. Huh?
Yeah.
Tells you the importance of finding the facts.
Right.
Things, huh?
Right. But I'll tell you this. She identifies as a liberal. I do not identify as a liberal. I am socially liberal. I have certain viewpoints that are liberal. I have certain viewpoints that are
conservative?
Conservative.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. I didn't want to say Republican.
Don't blame
you. For example, I believe that less is more with the current administration. The less of them, the more we have in our pockets.
Right.
And I'll say this, Bush spent like a drunken sailor. So I'll give it to both sides.
Yeah.
I don't care. Politics is not of interest to me. The only reason why I follow it now is because I want to find out where I have to go to get my death panel when I reach 50.
Right.
Because did you hear about that? At the age of 50, they want you to start attending end-of-life classes.
Yeah.
So you're planning your demise from 50 going forward.
Right.
So that means, according to if that part of Obamacare is actually acted on, that means you're going to wind up having to talk to the IRS. So Eric Bolling, just turned 50. He's going to have to do that. Greg Gutfeld turns 50 within the next couple of years. So he's going to have to do it. Neil Cavuto should be taking the classes by now because he's in his late 50s. It's just all ridiculous. As Carlin says, it's all bullshit and it's bad for you.
Yeah, it sounds like basically they're going to try to convince you to kill yourself.
Yeah, take this pill, it will hurt less.
Right.
I don't know what they were thinking, but somehow that got passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I like the idea of health care for everybody. I think that is a good goal to have. Unfortunately, there's no clean way of doing that. Everything has a cost and benefit side to it. And the cost is greater than the benefit right now, I believe. The other thing that I hear Republicans say is that the illegal immigrants that are here are getting health care under this new law. I don't necessarily think that they should be covered until they become legalized citizens.
Or in the process there of some way.
Right.
Meeting milestones.
Right. Like after you figured out how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in English might be a good starting point. Although, as Carlin said, pretty close. It's the United Strokes of America. So, to me, I would say that the Pledge of Allegiance at this point should really be recited as thus. I pledge allegiance to the United Strokes of America and to the republic for which it used to stand, one nation, under Canada, with liberty and justice for none.
Sad but true.
Yes. And I have that bitter feeling about it based on the point that a friend of mine got screwed in the legal system. And so I don't trust that. I get screwed
Mm-hmm.
by a government organization that was supposed to protect my civil rights. Civil rights are a lark. Go see the podcast Moving Violations for more on that.
Mm.
So, anyway, we got way the hell off of the movies.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a tangential
No surprises
brain.
there.
Yeah, no, I have a tangential brain. I'll go all over the place.
Yeah.
That's why I need somebody else to go, hey, wake up.
And I had one too many beers to be that person.
Yeah, I'm still working on my first one.
So I think the last movie we were talking about was Great Gatsby and DiCaprio, The Craze.
Yes, thank you.
So
yeah.
let's go rewind back there. And,
okay.
What were we saying?
Okay, well, let me say this. Gatsby has great 3D.
Mm-hmm.
The top's in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And DiCaprio is so perfectly cast, it makes chills go up and down your spine seeing him play that character.
Mm-hmm.
As much as people are dumping on Tobey Maguire, I think he served his purpose in that role. Sure. I don't think he emoted very much, but he did what was needed for that role.
Was he kind of like I haven't seen the movie. Was he kind of like an introvert or an extrovert in it?
Quasi-introvert.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good role for him.
Yeah.
Kind of like Spider-Man, sort of.
Yeah. The goofy loner that is slightly damaged in one way or another always fits him for some reason. Same thing with, what's his name there? Elijah Wood.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I don't picture them being another Jake LaMotta or something like that in Raging Bull and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, which is fine. Not everybody has to win Oscars. It would be nice to see them, but yeah.
Oscars are too few, huh?
Yes, and I believe strongly that Jennifer Lawrence richly deserved her Oscar for a Several Onions playbook, which when we do the podcast about Jennifer Lawrence is going to be a big part of that podcast. There are certain people that can do no wrong, in my opinion. And maybe you'll agree with me on this because you've seen some of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Polanski, Chinatown,
Yep.
At the Pianist, Rosemary's Baby. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes George.
Yeah,
Lucas.
I was gonna say. What was that movie? What was it? THX?
Yeah.
11 something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too good.
I made the mistake of spending $30 on that thing.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Yeah. And who else was there?
1138, that was it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
had to correct myself.
Yeah.
I know something.
Yeah. It helps. Who else was there? Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock. Cary Grant.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a phrase I said before.
How about the Rat Pack?
The Rat Pack, Emma Stone, Emma Watson, Christina Aguilera in her one movie.
Mm-hmm.
People can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned doing entertainment.
Acting, yep.
The goal of this podcast, aside from me rambling, is to show a great appreciation and love of movies and the time in which they were made and how that ties into history and stuff, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. So, I guess we should probably wrap this podcast up and record the next episode.
Yep.
But, with that, I am Nate Taves.
And Thomas Sawyer. And
thank you for listening, and please listen to the next ones that we do. I promise they'll be better.